It's clown world.
What do you think should be in place to protect men more? Do you think we get the rough end of the stick?
Oh, we absolutely get the rough end of the stick. And there has to be some degree of burden of proof. I don't know why with these particular crimes there's no burden of proof. Surely there has to be some legal test. I don't know where a woman's statement alone just is enough. If you go into the police station and say, I know someone who stole a car. What car? I can't tell you what car. There's no car. There's no video. I can't even tell you the reg plate, nothing. But I know he stole it. Is that person going to jail for stealing a car? They're like, okay, so you can't tell me anything about the car. There's no video of the car being stolen. No cars have been reported stolen. You're just telling me they stole a car. No, go away. It's just this one particular crime. I don't know what the exact solution to it is. I guess, I mean, I have daughters. I have many daughters. And when they grow up, the solution to it for me is going to be teaching them to keep themselves as safe as possible. I believe in personal responsibility for men and women. I don't believe that's a gendered argument. I believe women and men should both be as personally responsible as possible and not rely on government or law enforcement agencies to protect them. If something happened to my daughter, heaven forbid, and I found out, yeah, heaven forbid, bro. But I find out she was walking through a park alone at night at 4 a.m. The first thing I'll do is I literally, before I plan to kill the guy and find him, because I will kill him, I'll say, what the fuck were you doing walking through a park at 4 o'clock in the morning by yourself? I'm not going to absolve her of all responsibility. I'm not going to sit and go, we live in a society where men shouldn't rape and this is all men's fault and we need more feminism. No, I'm going to say, why did you do that? I would have picked you up. What are you doing? I believe in personal responsibility for all. And of course, there's some scenarios where that won't help. Of course there isn't. But those are the most heinous, violent, brutal crimes where a woman is being responsible and doing the right thing and protecting her safety and is still raped. Well, in those scenarios, most of the men get caught because they're doing actually terrible things. But all this subjectiveness of, I was with a guy 10 years ago, I was in love with him, we lived together, we had sex, we celebrated Christmas together, we had a puppy together, it's now been 9 years, and now he's famous, and now he's rich, and I think he once told me something that emotionally made me feel like I couldn't take money from his wallet, and I've been raped, and there has to be a level of sanity reinstalled. But that's assuming the legal and judicial system wants sanity. If you have sanity, then it's much harder to just weaponize it, right? If you have insanity, then you could just make everybody afraid of it and just weaponize it against anyone you choose. What would you do if you were in charge of the world?
How's this been on your daughters and your kids?
Yeah, that's the worst thing about this. Like, this is not a victimless crime, what's happening to me, because no crime has taken place. And then I'm being persecuted, and that's not a victimless crime. Of course, my brother and I have suffered, but so has my family. My mother suffered, my children have suffered, the mothers of my children have suffered, everyone close to me has suffered. People are suffering because of this. For what? For who? Who are we suffering for? To protect who? People who say we're not victims, this is stupid? Who are we protecting? So yeah, there's been genuine heartbreak and a lot of people crying on my side, which nobody seems to give a shit about. Nobody talks about all the BBC and all these garbage and MSN are constantly attacking me, never talk about my mental health. They talk about Philip Schofield's mental health, of course, after 2 days. After a year of attacking me, they don't talk about my mental health. They don't care about my family. They'll just put her address and dox all my family and just try and get everybody in trouble because I'm not part of the club, right? Because I haven't sold my soul. And there's been a lot of people who suffered. And I think that, in fact, in jail, I said it to Tristan. I said, we're sitting here in this hell, but everyone we love at least is taken care of. At least mom can eat, at least the kids can eat, at least the rents are paid. At least we're suffering because men are built to suffer, but everyone we love is taken care of. That gave me some solace. But the way they've attacked me, they didn't intend for that to be true. They intended for me to be bankrupt. They intended for me to be completely destitute and destroyed. They intended for me to sit in a cell knowing that I can't feed my kids. That's what they wanted to do. Just because I've managed to make sure that didn't happen, that doesn't mean it wasn't their intention. Their intention is purely and truly evil. And it makes you wonder, who are these people who want to operate in this way? Who are these people sleeping well at night? But I guess the world's always kind of been that way, hasn't it?
Seeing you were in Dubai, why didn't you just stay there?
Yeah, that's a good question. Because truthfully, I love Romania. I've been here 7 years. I actually love this country and it's full of good people. And I have to be honest and say that 99% of Romanians I interact with apologize to me. 99%. People on the street, police officers, correctional officers, the people at the court, everyone's like, sorry, bro. Everyone understands what's happening. They're very sorry. And it's a good country full of good people. I came here to pack a suitcase and I got nabbed. And yeah, I knew something was up, but I was more concerned about, some Albanian gangsters or something more than the law, because I know I don't break the law. It's another really interesting paradigm shift. And I think life as you go through it is a series of paradigm shifts. It's a series of having your worldview broken and reconstructed. But one of the paradigm shifts I'm going through is that as someone who never broke the law, really, I never really feared law that much because I'm not a lawbreaker. I mean, COVID to a degree made me understand that you can't be a cuck to the law. You have to be the kind of person who's like, no, I'm not putting that mask on, get fucked. I understood that much, but I never thought I'd ever be genuinely a target of the law because I'm not a criminal. So I never really feared it. And now I have this really interesting hobby, a new hobby of mine. Before I go to a country, I investigate the legal system. Like, what happens if I get arrested? What's the jail like in Azerbaijan? Because I'm like, what if I get arrested there? I found out that Japan's legal system's crazy. Japan's got one of the most strict legal systems in the world. They have like a 99.8% conviction rate. You don't get that conviction rate without putting innocent people in jail. If you go to a court in Japan, you're going to jail.
Listen, go to Scotland then, because God forbid if you ever get to jail, you just put a dress on, cut about in a fucking pair of pants with your balls hanging through and you get sent to a women's prison. The system there is fucked.
Wow.
Fucking joke. A kid raped a 13-year-old and got community service. They're starting to change the law where you get the first one, I think it's under 21 for free, basically. It's fucked up. The guy raped two women, put a dress on, his dick is actually hanging through his shorts, and they're trying to put him in a women's prison because people were more concerned about his feelings. What about the girls' feelings?
And this is the thing that's so amazing to me. So the people who are in charge of the world, the Matrix, and people who are in charge of these countries, they do that. They have no genuine concern for protecting women, which goes back to my earlier question. Do we want sanity or insanity? Which is what's scary when you genuinely analyze and say, none of this makes sense. We need to change it. Yeah, that's a very optimistic worldview. It's fantastic to view the world and look at a broken system and say, let's fix the system. It's far more daunting once you understand that the system's broken on purpose. It's designed to be broken. They want to convince the world that I am dangerous to women. Me, a man with daughters, with a large sexual history, with no women with a face even coming forward and complaining, with every woman I know who's ever interacted with me defending me. But then, like you said, they'll take a man and put him in a woman's prison. So do they really care about female safety in any regard? No. They're trying to sow a degree of insanity and subjectiveness into a system which is designed to be bulletproof. The whole point of the legal system and the justice system is that it's black and white, on paper. It's not up to interpretation. The good guys go home. The bad guys go to jail, right? As soon as you ingest subjectiveness and insanity and chaos into that system, well, now you've got a real mess. And that's what we currently have. I would argue that if I was a transsexual, which I'm not, I know I'm, that the US embassy would have had me out of a Romanian jail within 2 or 3 days. They would have called Romania transphobic, and they would have said that my rights aren't being respected, and they would have pulled me out. But because I'm a heterosexual male, they just left me there.
But you've said it there, everything's a system. As soon as you're born, everything's flawed. Women give birth on their back, which is wrong. They give birth under artificial lighting, which is wrong. They cut the umbilical cord, which is full of nutrients and stem cells, which is wrong. You gave a name, a religion, a race. You're labelled, you're signing birth certificates. Everything is backwards. Kids are coming out drugged up. Everything is wrong as soon as you're born. Sure. Then you go through the schooling system. You're sitting at the desk, learning the World War I's and World War II's. You're not learning about love and understanding of life, money management, fitness, mindset. The whole system is flawed, but when you've got so much power now, you can change elections. You're going to become a target.
Completely.
What do you think about the system?
And that's the thing. So for a very long time, I've tried to avoid politics. My way to protect myself was I'll avoid politics. I don't really comment. I think most people can guess my politics, but I don't comment heavily on politics. I don't do political shows. I don't comment on politics very heavily. I thought if I avoided that game, because you're right, I can influence an election. I can say right now who to vote for, and they'll win. That's extremely scary for me, because that means I'm a prime target to kill. Because that makes me a national security threat. I don't think most people understand that once you're deemed a national security threat, all bets are off. If a government says that is a national security threat, they can kill you in the street, they can shoot you, they can put you in jail without charge, they can spy on your entire life, they can kidnap people close to you and try and convince them to turn. Once you're deemed a national security threat, It's like James Bond. He can go do whatever he wants to the bad guy. It's national security. Once you have control of the entire youth of a country, well, then I guess you are a national security threat. I didn't intend to be. I just say the truth, and I find an affinity amongst young men, but they are desperate for me to not have that control. So with that degree of power, I've been very careful talking about politics. I thought, well, let me avoid that game because I don't want to get in too much trouble. Well, and then I've learned now that if you don't choose a side, you just have two enemies, assuming there's two sides at all. Some would argue there's one side. But if there's two sides and you don't choose a side, now both sides don't like you. So it's difficult. It's hard. I kind of wish we weren't living in a world where speaking the truth was so revolutionary that it causes a revolution. What have I said that's so genuinely revolutionary? I've said the things that we all grew up with and agreed with 20 years ago. Everything that we grew up with in our childhood about how men, women, how a man should be, things we should do, personal responsibility, discipline, hard work. And I've said it in a convincing way. That's it. It's crazy.